Well, last time we were in this church, we were looking at an outline planning application for the interconnector, and I did give a commitment to those of you that were here at that meeting that as soon as we had, if that outline permission was granted, as soon as we had a detailed planning application, we would call a special community action team meeting to have a look at it, have it presented to you, and be able to take your questions and comments on it. So that's what we're doing now. So what we're going to be covering, hopefully most people have got a view of a screen. The technology's changed a bit. We had a big screen behind me last time. Now we've got these little screens around the room. So we're going to go over the background and the recent planning history for the site at Daedalus. And then we're going to turn to the reserved matters planning applications. I'll tell you what that means as well. And then Mark Wyatt will be going particularly into what the planning considerations are, how the public consultation will work, and of course, most importantly, what happens next. So the background to this, I think it was a couple of years ago now that Ferrum Borough Council was first approached by National Grid and told that there was a project going on around the country to provide interconnectors which link the electricity infrastructure of different countries within the European continent. And the reason that they were doing that is that our own generation capacity in this country, for whatever reasons, I guess most of them are political decisions made, or perhaps more importantly not made, over a number of years now, which has seen that we're heading into a deficit in terms of the electricity supply for this country, so much so that I think the sorts of phraseology being used were that if we don't have interconnectors, then our lights will start to go out from about 2020. So that's basically the background to it. So it's about sharing power. So when there is a surplus being produced in France, it can be bought and brought into England, and on those occasions, and I guess there might be some where we produce more electricity than we need, then it can be exported through that interconnector network. So last March, we received what's called a hybrid planning application. What that means is that some of it was in outline, so it was just talking about sort of the generalities of the site and what would be on it, and some of it was detailed. Specifically, the detail was for the connection at Chilling in Warsash into the national grid, and also for how the cabling through Daedalus would be dealt with. So that was the hybrid planning application, and then that dealt only with the onshore elements of this, because of course there's a subsea element as well. So on the 23rd of January this year, there was a special planning committee, which I know a number of you attended, and the recommendation by the planning officers was to grant permission, and also that resolution was then passed by the planning committee. But that doesn't see a planning consent issued. There's a lot of legal paperwork needs to be done then in the interim. But at the same time, in fact in the same week, the Marine Management Organisation, who deal with the cabling under the water, so the cabling that runs from Ferrum to France, and then out of Ferrum back along and around to Warsash, those cabling elements are dealt with by the Marine Management Organisation. They gave their consent for the cabling works, the subsea cabling works, again in January. So then we move to April, and I say that the planning consent doesn't get issued on the day it's granted. So a few months later, the planning officers were in a position, having had the legal agreements agreed to by the applicant and completed, to be able to issue that outline planning permission. So that was for the detail of the building at Chilling, the sort of vague terms as to heights, etc., that would affect the building at Daedalus, and the cabling as well. So we now have, just on the 19th of July, we received the detailed planning application. That's what's before us now. That is what we call the reserved matters. These are the details that the outline commission did not give, really, the vast majority of the application and of the buildings. And it's split across two parts of the site. There's the converter station building, which is on the 10 acres of land that the Borough Council, subject to planning permission, as landlord, east to National Grid, and then there's the 45 acres of new public open space to the north of the converter station, and the detail of that is dealt with as well. What's changed? Well, some of you will have been along to a public exhibition, which at that point in time was how the application was looking a couple of weeks ago, and the final outcome of the changes that have been made since that outline consent was given in January. We've seen a 60% reduction in the volume of the buildings, because they were, and still are, very big buildings, but a 60% reduction in volume, and about a quarter reduction in the footprint of those converted buildings as well. And the maximum height, so looking, well, I'll show you a few heights in a moment, the maximum height, you remember the outline planning consent talked about 22 metres, and the maximum height is 20 of that planning application. This picture, for those that can see it, I don't tend to understand the technicalities, but what it is demonstrating is that this isn't a building, this is a series of buildings. What happens is the electricity comes in from France, and it comes in as direct current, so the same sort of current that car batteries run. It comes in to Daedalus, and it then has to be converted to alternating current, which is the current that we run our houses and commercial premises and everything else on. So it comes in through one set of cables, it goes through these various halls, and then comes out the other side as alternating current, back into another cable, back out into the Solent, turn right, and head along to Warsash, and pop out of the ground at Chilling. The top picture there was the indicative plan, the indicative building that we were given at the time of the outline planning application. The bottom one is the current, the real planning application, the one that came in last week. So you can sort of compare and contrast, and that's what we'll be doing a little later. If you can read any of this, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing to read, but what it's looking at, you can inspect this in the planning applications, it's looking at the various building elements within the interconnector complex, looking at what was there at the outline stage and what is now there at the reserved matter stage. And you can see obviously some very significant height reductions that have been provided for the building that is now the subject of the planning application. Again, back to the outline planning application, for those that can read it, there's a lot of block diagrams of buildings at different heights on the site. The dark red was the highest point of buildings which are at Daedalus, and then going down through the other colours to rather lower buildings, really illustrating what sort of buildings are already extant on the site. Last one for me, this is the public open space. So this is the 45 acres north of the interconnector site, and this is what is being proposed: play area, car parking free of course, it's all parking in Fareham outside the town centre, it's free. Dog walking area, way markers, benches, bins, paths, and some vantage points for those that want to have a look at the runway from that particular angle. So that's a little bit of background for you, where we've come from, where we've ended up. So now I'm going to hand over to Mark Wyatt, our Principal Planning Officer, who you will, I'm sure, remember from last time. It's a gentleman who has the enviable job of going through all of this application and coming up with a recommendation at the end.